John Beaudin, Rock History Book. How are you? We're living in a COVID house. My wife got COVID. Shannon, a lot of you know her from the other channel. And our daughter first got it and brought it into the house. So far, the boys in the house, myself and my son Chase, don't have it. We're wearing masks. We're washing everything. So here we are. I wanted to come down in my safe little room and give you another interesting fact. From October 3rd, this is when this survey took place about the catchiest song of all time. 2011. Now, it was put together by musicologist Dr. Alison Powley and a psychologist named Dr. Alan Mulsafin. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not. Out of London. And they wanted to know what makes a song incredibly catchy to sing along to. What's that? Hi, Bob Perry. Stay safe. Thank you. Appreciate that. What makes a song catchy? What makes a song a sing-along song? And they came up with some interesting facts. I mean, really, something cerebral, something so like just we're built with that innate quality that makes us move when we hear a song. I always say this, no one is wrong. You're not wrong to what you want to move and groove to. I've often said I didn't like Celine Dion music. Like I couldn't stand her voice, but really it was her personality that I had a problem with because she just seemed so precious. It was unbelievable. But she's allowed to do that, and that's fine. But one day, my wife and I were on a long road trip, and That's Just the Way It Is was on, and I'm just grooving to it. Caught in the act. I didn't like Celine Dion any better, but for me to say I hate all her songs. So there's something a little deeper. Researchers found the conclusion was that there are 4 traits that make a song catchy. Number 1, a longer and detailed musical phrases. The breath of vocalists takes as they sing a line that's crucial in the song. Number 2, higher number of pitches in the chorus hook, the sounds that they make during that. Number 3, male vocalists sing along to a song may be subconscious war cry. We're intrinsically built in this unconscious world of the tribal part of our and a lot of tribal part of our consciousness. And a lot of these sing-along songs, especially for the last 5-6 years, notice everything's like a kumbaya sing-along song. Like you hear this chanting from a lot of people. And number 4, higher male voices with noticeable vocal effort. So I'm going to tell you about some of the, and these guys, by the way, before I get to the list, these guys went into clubs, they watched people singing, they watched how many people were singing along. Hi, Kim Trickle. Hi, Melody. So they did all these things to do studies, and this was done in the UK, so it's got a slight UK slant to it, but in the long run, you'll recognize the number 1 song, and a lot of you already know what it is. Living on a Prayer was number 10. I love that part of that song. I just love it. 1986 from Bon Jovi, of course. Teenage Dirtbag was number 9 by Wheatus. I have no idea who that is. 8, Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison. How many times has that been used in movies? Like so many freaking times. I'm Always Here, Jimmy Jameson. 1996 from Survivor, number 7. Ruby, the Kaiser Chiefs from 2007. And number 6, gets interesting here. Monster by The Automatic in 2006, number 5. And The Final Countdown. They voted that number 4 of the catchy songs of all time. And Final Countdown, of course, one of the catchiest songs of all time anyway. 1986. And the build-up to when the vocalist starts singing is incredibly long if you listen to it. So that was that one. Hold on. Let me find my place. There. A song I can't stand. Fat Lip by Sum 41. I've never liked this band. I never liked anything they've done, but I was just surprised that they came up with the number 3 song of the catchiest songs of all time. And there you go. YMCA, Village People. I get that. You don't have to like that song. You don't have to like it, but I get why it was there. Right? There's a lot of songs that you might not like, but maybe you can differentiate yourself and say, well, I don't like it, but I can understand why people think it's catchy. Number 1 song, We Are the Champions. Queen from News of the World, 1977. Hi, Sue Bailey. Danica is feeling better. She just tested negative, by the way, for COVID. So she had COVID for about 5 days, then tested negative today. We Are the Champions, 1977, like I mentioned. Freddie Mercury wrote the song, We Are the Champions, while Brian May wrote the song that comes before it, that remember radio stations play them together, We Will Rock You. Another incredibly catchy song. And they're anthems, they're like ultimate anthems of all time, really. Hockey games. You can't go to a hockey game unless you hear one or both of those songs. And this picture here was interesting, I found. This is a picture from the same monster from the cover of News of the World, but it's from All Dead video, which was made quite a few years later from News of the World. It's quite an interesting video. Look up All Dead Queen, and you'll find a beautiful animated film for that song. Now, this is the chart for... It never went number one anywhere. Look at this. We Are the Champions. This is the chart from a wiki. UK number 2, Australia number 8. It might be Austria, I'm not sure. Germany 13, Ireland 2, United States will reach number 4. But when you look at like what happened after that, when you look at, look, this is Spotify. This is Queen's Spotify. Bohemian Rhapsody's number 1. Another one bites the dust. Hey, catchy, right? Bohemian Rhapsody's not exactly catchy. It's intrinsic and almost hypnotizing and just very interesting. Don't Stop Me Now. There's another one. Don't Stop Me. You know, it's just very catchy. Under Pressure. Incredibly catchy. And then We Will Rock You. We Are the Champions is down there at number 7. So in the long run, it's not the biggest from Queen. But I find all this stuff incredibly interesting. It was written, according to Freddie Mercury, for audience participation, where he says, we will rock you, or we are the champions. Brian May's We Will Rock You. So they knew what they were doing. They were looking for an anthem. And after having Bohemian Rhapsody, a couple of albums later, oh, thanks, John Beaudin. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for your super chat. That's very, very kind of you. Very, very, very nice of you. So they wrote it with that in mind. And I remember, do you remember the first time you heard We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions? I remember, I say this all the time in my videos, but it really was like that for me growing up, where I'd stop and I'd look at the speakers. Sultans of Swing did that for me. Hold the Line by Toto did that for me. Where, and that's a good thing if you still want to continue talking, what are those songs that made you stop and look at the speakers? There's someone caught on with this chanting Catchiest song. Like I said, for the last 5 years, probably 10 years, we've been hearing all these anthem-like songs. I always call them Kumbaya, sitting around the campfire songs. And after a while, there were so many of them. Radio Gaga, very catchy. Bob Perry, yes. But you know what? I was looking through the list on Spotify today, and I went, man, there's a lot of Queen songs that have that ingredient. It was a conscious thing. That's not a haphazard thing, where they wanted people to sing along. Says a lot about Queen. Good for them. Shinta, didn't Deacon write most of the catchy stuff? Deacon wrote a lot of the stuff. And he didn't want to come back, John Deacon, because he said he couldn't imagine Queen without Freddie Mercury. So there's pictures of him sometimes in magazines like The Sun, where you see him just shopping for pork chops or whatever he buys. And he just looks like a normal guy. He just wants to be left alone. I talked to Lenny Zakatek, who was in a short-lived band with John, and he just said he was just the most unassuming guy in the world. John Beaudin, Walking on Sunshine, Katrina and the Waves. I am a little congested, but I just tested negative again. Walking on Sunshine is just one of those songs where it's so incredibly catchy. I thought I would not like it in a year. And maybe I didn't. And then you come full circle with songs. You ever notice that? Because they become part of your musical foundation. And you hate them for a little while. And then for whatever reason, they're part of your past. And you put them in that category of the songs I grew up with. I love rock and roll. And I mentioned this before. Walking on Rock and Roll was the one song that one of our consultants in radio came up with and said, that's the one song where people hated. If you wanted to talk about one song that people didn't like at the time, but were overly forgiving of, and she didn't write that song, she covered it. It's I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. That people came full circle with that one of going, I don't know, I hated it then, but I like it now. Of all the songs that had a rebirth in people's minds, it was that one. I found that interesting. Another thing came from that survey that people like Madonna songs more when they didn't know it was Madonna. Are you surprised? Because she was a dividing figure, right? But her songs always tested, things are flying around here. Her songs always tested better when the audience didn't know it was Madonna. See, she got in the way of her own success sometimes, I guess. Keith Bates, Running with the Devil from the first Van Halen album, of course. I mean, to me, Running with the Devil is the best song on the first Van Halen album. Arguably, I know, but for me, personally, I like that. But again, the list is We Are the Champions, number 1. YMCA, Village People, number 2. Fat Lip by Sum 41. Freaking hate that song. Number 4, The Final Countdown. Monster by The Automatic. Ruby by the Kaiser Chiefs. I'm Always Here, Jimmy Jameson. Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison. It's a real haphazard list. Teenage Dirtbag, Wheatus. And Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. I mean, and this study was done on this day in 2000, released on this day in 2011 by Dr. Alison Powley and Dr. Daniel, musicologist Dr. Alison Powley and Dr. Daniel Molensifen. I don't know. There you go. I wanted to come on tonight because I've just got another hard drive. Thanks to your donations, I was able to buy another hard drive, a big one, a 20 terabyte hard drive. If you ever want to donate to the channel, there are links in the description. But we needed room in our NAS. Our NAS is a system with multiple hard drives in it that it's backed up onto backing up. So if something would happen, we would grab this big box and run out of the house. So we're doing that right now. And my hard drive in my laptop is completely full. So I can't even do work on it. Oh, Tie Your Mother Down. Yes. Another one. Look at the body of work that these guys put together. And then there was a little song, I think it was from Sheer Heart Attack, Don't You Miss Fire. Remember that song? Don't you miss fire? It's kind of like a nursery rhyme. And it's so incredibly catchy, but it's just I think it's like a minute long. It's a real short song. But I remember being sort of still liking teeny bopper music back in, I think it was 74 when Sheer Heart Attack came out. And loving that song. Queen did a lot. Oh, Paranoid. Ace of Spades. Yeah. Joy to the World. Mama Told Me Not to Come. Three Dog Night. Joy to the World is, a great example of that. I think Hoyt Axton, if I remember correctly, wrote that. Was it Hoyt Axton? And that was like the number one song in many countries of that year when it was released. And I talked to Chuck of the band, and he told me so many great stories. It's on this channel. He's the only one from Three Dog Night that I've talked to. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Jimmy, yes. And the guitar too. You know, I like when you have so many different pieces on a song that make it incredibly catchy, like the hook, as they would call it. I've been in radio 40 years. We've been saying hook since day one that I've been in radio. My first program director, Len Tucson, would tell me, how does it make you feel? Remember, how does a song make you feel? And I like that because that's a feeling thing, listening to music, right? Bad mood puts us in a good mood. But he would look at like You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet has that intro by Randy Bachman, that the guitar sound is so unique to him in that situation. And then the hiccup, the stuttering thing, there's so many pieces to that song. Like Rick Beato would have a field day on that, have fun with him. Joe South, Games People Play. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, I love that song. But thank you everyone for coming on. I appreciate that. Because in the House of Sickness, I thought I'd come down, did a couple hour research on this one, and I thought let's get on the internet. I'm sweating like crazy. It doesn't show. I can see my picture here, but it is hot in this room because I'm surrounded by a lot of lights and a green screen behind me, which is, just so that you know, right there, like this about 2 feet behind me, and this small little room that I record my radio show on. And I always like coming on and talking to you guys. Brian Burrow, Suspicious Minds, thank you. Great song. One of my favorite Elvis songs. Has anybody seen the Elvis special? I think we're kind of chasing our tails right now, following our noses. I really like the Baz Luhrmann. Baz Luhrmann. Is it Baz Luhrmann? Really enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, it's kind of like the Elton John song, like Elton John Rocket Man movie where there's a lot of fantasy in it. I just saw Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe. It's not a biopic because it's fictional. I didn't see the fuss that people were going crazy about. I enjoyed it. I thought she was a great actress in it. I mean, it's a little racy, right? So anyway, let me see some of your comments. Oh, Dizzy, Tommy Rowe. You guys are coming up. Oh, War Pigs, Melody R. Suspicious Minds, but Brian, I'm going to be singing that song. I'm going to be singing that song. Caught in a trap. Yeah. Anyway, unless there's something else coming on, we're going to bow out. I'm almost positive I have COVID because we're looking at the timeline. I just I'm not showing major symptoms. I'm just clogged up. Got a slight headache. Not really a headache. Comes and goes. And my mind is spinning. If anybody's watching, if you had COVID, did your mind start spinning? Oh, good one, Brian. Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. And Davy Johnstone's guitar. Yeah. In the beginning of that's crazy. He should have got a writing credit for that. Jimmy, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Incredibly catchy. Almost ad nauseum, but yeah. I can listen to it now. I bought the 45, and I'm a big Elton John fan, as most people know. Shinta, remember they used to play 99 Luft Balloons? Yeah, I said Luft Balloons because we played the German version. At sports events. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to call you Shin. Is it Shinta? Yeah. I appreciate everyone coming on tonight. I just wanted to change the scenery. Like I said, I did a couple hours research on this when I went, this is interesting. I don't think I've ever looked up the catchiest songs of all time. Of course, the catchiest songs of all time can also be songs that you want to bang your head against the wall because you can't take them. They're just driving you crazy. So get well soon. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for coming on tonight. And hope I don't catch it. I could be asymptomatic as well, but I just took a test and it said negative. Appreciate that. Take care, everybody. John Beaudin, Rock History Book. If you want to help the channel, there are links in the top of the description. Join our Patreon, or there's a link to PayPal where you can make a donation. Take good care.